This is Fox 9 Good Day.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the hardest job anyone will do, but being a parent can be one of the most rewarding things as well, which I'm sure you know all about.
Yes, very much so. Every parent wants their kid to succeed, right? But how do you make sure your kid grows up to be confident and independent? Well, maybe a new book could help.
Yeah, it's called No Problem Parenting, Raising Your Kiddos with More Confidence and Less Fear, and is written by a Minnesota mom.
That mom is here. Joining us is the author, Jackie Finneman. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Jackie.
Thanks for having me, you guys. This is so fun.
Yes, I mean, I think even just the title, the idea of raising confident kids, that they are not fearful. We've talked so much about helicopter parents, and then there's this how much is too much, how much is too little. You started this whole process because you had a podcast, and you were having these great guests who had great insight, and you thought, other parents need to hear this.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't want their podcast episodes to kind of get lost, you know, as we do more and more episodes. So I thought, I want their message out there. A lot of these, the authors in the book, there are 21 authors in the book, and they're from around the globe, 3 from Minnesota, plus myself. But they have such great messages in their craft, in their niche, in their calling, and I wanted to make sure that parents knew about them and could learn from them. So we created the book.
And you say parenting is harder than it's ever been right now. Why do you think that is?
Oh, there's just so much input. There's so much more input than there was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? There's technology. There's just so much more for our kids to be exposed to. And there's so much pressure on parents, too.
Sure.
And I think a lot of fear comes with it, too. Should we get our kids vaccinated or not? Should we send them to school or homeschool them? There's all these should, you know, we should do this or should do that. And I just feel like we need to get off the fear bus. And we need to build some confidence in parents. You're the expert of your child. You know this, Kelly,
Yes.
right? Like, it's a day or two into parenting, and you know your kid better than anyone else. You know their coos, you know what they're trying to, their winces, their smiles, what everything means, if they have to, if they have a tummy ache or anything like that. And that none of that changes. But sometimes what ends up happening is there becomes problems or something happens with the kiddos, and we're relying on ourselves to be the expert when we don't have to.
Sure.
There's people we can reach out to that know more than we do about a specific topic or behavior.
You say there are 3 things, if you had to narrow it down to 3 reasons parents tend to struggle when it comes to this. 1, here we go, being too nice.
Yes, that's actually like the biggest one.
Is this like you want to be a friend and not a mom kind of thing?
Well, it's like you want your kids to do well in everything, and you want to help them, and you're going to convince them, and you're going to kind of nurture and coddle and do this. And so we're so nice, we're nice, and then the kids aren't listening to us, and they're not doing what we're asking them to do. And then we're getting frustrated, but we're still being nice, and we're trying all these different ways, and then eventually we just can't take it anymore, and we blow and we lose our cool. A lot of parents that come to me for one-on-one coaching, it's exactly what'll happen. They'll say, I just don't know why my kid doesn't listen to me. And I'll say, well, I think after listening to them for a bit, I think you're being too nice. And they're like, oh, no, we yell, we lose our cool, we fly off the handle all the time. Right, but what'd you do before that?
Right.
And often it's just we're being too nice and giving too many chances and things like that. Kids crave our leadership. And so what No Problem Parenting does is it helps you become that confident leader that your kid actually craves you to be. They don't want us to make everything better for them.
Sure.
And then on the reverse, you say a mistake, people are being too mean.
Yes, they can be too
parents,
strict, and they can tell our kids, to jump and how high and how to do everything, and they kind of map their road out for them, and they make sure that they're not doing, don't do this and don't do that, and they're super strict. And the older, we want our kids to be independent when they're little, right? We want them to tie their own shoes and buckle their own car seat, and we celebrate when those things happen. And then as they become teenagers, we start to pull the reins in, when exactly what they need to be doing is becoming independent, falling on their face, making some mistakes, right? We pull the reins in because we're scared for them, and we don't want them to get hurt or be, get in trouble or that kind of thing. So we end up being too mean and yelling too much.
And in that regard, is it ever too late to change your parenting style? I would imagine it would have to adapt and evolve as the child adapts or evolves as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, why I would love having these experts in the book and sharing their knowledge with them. You don't have to know everything, and life throws us curveballs. Our kids certainly do, right? So No Problem Parenting, seek first to understand, why is my kiddo behaving the way they are? And why am I responding or reacting the way that I am as a parent? Step 2 is to prepare for the worst. We can't be prepared for everything, right? Because life does throw us curveballs. But there are certain behaviors that our kids do day in and day out that we know are going to happen, right? And so we can be prepared for those so that we can respond instead of react to it, right? Or fear it or get worried. And then step 3 is to change the conversation.
It sounds like I'm going to need a lot of patience whenever this day happens.
Yes, but don't look at me at this point. I have a 3-year-old right now,
fine.
so my patience is.
Oh yeah, right.
So I'm always curious. Obviously, this is kind of the idea behind the book as well. But so you've got a 17-year-old.
Yes.
What do you wish you would have known? That's a loaded question. But what do you wish that you would have been able to see, or you would have maybe done differently when he was younger? Not that you did anything wrong, but I think sometimes you're like, I wish someone would have told me that. Whether that be a little stricter, be a little nicer.
Right.
What do you think that maybe?
My favorite thing is that you don't have to respond and have an answer for your kid right away. So when they have a behavior or they do something, they misbehave in some way, you don't need to correct right away. You can pause. One of my favorite techniques is the pause, putting your hand on your heart and your hand on your stomach and just breathing for 6 seconds before, and it actually causes you kind of to push back instead of lean forward to discipline your kiddo. So just remembering to pause. And then the other thing would be before you respond. Sometimes you don't even need to respond. Sometimes they're just throwing a fit and they need to throw a fit. Get it out of their system. We're all crabby sometimes too, right? So just, it's all right. Let them get it out of their system, moves on. But also to just not be so hard on myself as a parent. There's a lot of judgers out there. There's a lot of people, you see them in the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
And the kids screaming and throwing a fit. I always say a little silent prayer for those mamas and, give them a big smile because we've all been there.
Sure.
And life happens, stuff happens. But
Jackie, good stuff.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
you.
It was
I
a pleasure to
appreciate
meet you. And I need a copy of the book.
Yeah, absolutely we do. Her book is called No Problem Parenting, Raising Your Kiddos with More Confidence and Less Fear. It's available now. For more information, head to noproblemparents.com.